So did you watch my video yet?
No, not yet.
Damn, I was going to ask you about it. You have a whole section about you when you didn't even watch it. What the heck?
It's on my to-do list.
So you got this, the part 2 of the video starts off with me going on a ramble about a friend who goes unnamed, and that friend is you.
Did you want to reveal to everyone that friend is me?
I'm doing it now.
Oh,
so
okay.
that was you. You're welcome to the internet take. That's what starts off that
I do need to
section.
watch it because I need to know specifically what you said.
Yeah.
To make sure I'm being represented in a good light.
I mean, I did not go into super depth. I just said it was you think it's old man yells at cloud, and
Yes.
Oh God, please no, not change, no, not change, please God, no, not change, God, no, please no.
Yeah, that's what I feel about it.
That was basically the 2. You should watch it. It was a pretty good
I
segment.
will.
I think it was a pretty good
but it's
response
you
from
disagreeing
myself.
with me, right?
Sort of. I'm like, there's validity to it, but also, let's talk about it. It's a good bit.
I feel like
Good old bit.
I feel like without context, people are gonna watch it, and then if people who disagree, I have no way to defend myself.
I mean, that's why you go unnamed. Well, I guess you went named here. Well, you can just say that on our next episode after you watch it, and you're like,
Okay.
wow, Caleb, you made great points. You know what? You really made me think about it, and boom, you're good.
No, because if I don't agree
I
with you,
think
I
you
don't
will.
agree with you.
Then you can defend it on our next cold
All right.
open.
Sounds great.
Next time when you actually watch my
Next
video.
time on the
Next
Cynical
time on Cynical Cinephiles, Caitlin defends her arguments and stuff. Yes.
Oh God,
It's good stuff, yeah.
I haven't watched it, but I feel like you didn't properly articulate my points.
Damn. I'm just sad you haven't watched it, man. I'm like, come on, where's the trust? Where's the love?
It's right here. I love you so much.
Not enough to watch my video.
I will watch it.
That's what they all
This
say.
week. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cynical Cinephiles podcast. I am your favorite host, Caitlin, and the other one's here.
Yeah, I'm the host you dislike and vehemently just like
According to
shut
all of
up.
the comments.
Yes, they're all flaming me. Everyone.
We had to delete the reason that there appears to be no comments on our video.
I'm very sensitive, and the amount of hate comments I've been receiving, I'm just mass deleting them. Actually,
anything that actually mentions your name is just automatically.
Oh yeah,
deleted.
I have a filter on. Actually, if it says
no matter
Caleb, it's
if
not
it's
gonna.
positive or negative.
Yeah, no, it's just removed. I don't want people talking about me. I'm a very private person, which is why I'm doing this podcast where I'm publicly seen and,
It's the funniest thing to me. And I understand, like, influencers and stuff, like, wanting their privacy, wanting a separate work from, like, like not wanting a parasocial relationship, which is what Caleb's new video is about.
Yeah, I was going to say.
However, I think it's very funny because then they'll be like, I'm a very private person. And it's like, I literally have watched you every day for the past 3 years. I know what your favorite color is, bro. Like, I know.
You're like
know
live
your
streaming
mom's
like
name.
8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You're like, I'm a very private person. I mean, I guess. Those extra 4 hours before you sleep must really be a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, power to you.
There's no evidence of yourself on the internet.
None. Not a bit.
I would consider myself to be the opposite of a private person.
That's fair. You're what's the opposite of private? Not public. That's not the opposite.
But I'm a public person.
You're not, yeah, that's why I was like, a public person.
I'm a public figure.
I mean, if your Instagram bio says so, I don't know about anything else. So we're discussing a movie that you picked.
I did.
And what is it?
It is the 2005 Pride and Prejudice starring Kiera Knightley.
As opposed to the other years that also had Pride and Prejudice.
There's a lot of remakes of this movie.
But this is the real one.
This is the
one that people know.
Well, okay, so this is like we talked to, or you had mentioned this earlier, and I was gonna say something, but then I was like, I'm gonna save it for the podcast.
Good call.
The reason that I have to specify it's a 2005 is because there's a 1995 production of Pride and Prejudice that is a miniseries, and it's 1 season long, and for like true Pride and Prejudice fans, I guess.
Yeah.
They're like, no, the miniseries is the only one that matters. But
just read the book.
I thought it was boring. And so like, I feel like, you know, yes, this movie's kind of long, but it's the exact same story, just like 6 hours shorter.
What's interesting is that the movie feels very long, but ultimately it's only like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like it's actually surprising because watching it, I was like, wow, this is covering so much. And at first I was like, man, this is, I mean, you can tell it's adapted from a book because it feels very long. But at the same time, I'm like, wow, this is very efficient with like runtime. Like they really use those 2 hours effectively.
And that's how I feel, is because like I've watched the miniseries. I watched it growing up, and like it's just, that feels like that drags on forever. And like, sure, it may be more book accurate, but also it's like, at what point do we just need to understand that there's a difference between books and movies?
No, exactly.
Like,
if you're, I said this literally in our last episode about CINEMATOGRAPHY, where I'm like, if you're going to adapt something, make it worth adapting. Right. Change it enough. If it's the exact same thing, and there's like really, if you're trying to mimic the exact same experience reading a book versus like watching a miniseries, what's the point? Yeah. Like make it a different
The most important thing to me about book to movie adaptations is that the overall themes are being honored. Like, for example, you know, Percy Jackson, and I know that you haven't read Percy Jackson. It was one of my favorite series growing up. Like, the Percy Jackson movie is trash, and the main reason that it's trash is because it came out following like the Twilight, Divergent, Hunger Games, all these franchises, and so they tried to just produce another one of those, and that's not what the series is about, and so it didn't stay true to the heart of the book, and that's why it's trash. Don't do that.
No, that's
but
not
also
the move.
like, if you change something in order to make it adaptable to screen, like, okay, do it. It's like there's so many like the very popular thing when you read a lot of books is to be like, well, the book is better, and like
wait, what?
The book is better.
Oh,
and like I agree. In most cases,
never
the book
said
is
that
better.
in every
but
book to movie adaptation I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, it's better, but also like if you love a story and you want the story to be easily accessible to people, there are certain changes that have to be made in order to make it accessible for
100%.
a lot of people.
And I think that is one of my favorite things with adaptations is literally what you're saying, like accessibility. Like my own favorite series of all time, Re:Zero. It's a giant long novel series. Which, how am I going to get someone to, like, the best I can do is be like, okay, watch like the first season or so of the anime. And that's like the best I can do to get someone like actually maybe interested. Maybe then on I can be like, actually read the novels, because that is what I'm really passionate about. But I think adaptations are really useful in that you can get people to watch and enjoy a piece of content, or not content, but like literature you like, but adapted, you know?
Right.
I don't know.
I also think that it's quite satisfying to like see these characters that you've like fallen in love with and that you have really personal connections to, see them visually, because otherwise you're unable to do that. You're only able to experience them through like fan art and in your own brain. And so I think I think there's a lot of value to book to movie adaptations, and I quite enjoy a lot of them. Specifically Twilight.
Hey, you know, we'll take it. I will say though, it's interesting what you just mentioned about you being able to visualize the characters and like once the movie or whatever is out. Because I thinking back on like book to movie adaptations, I don't think I've ever actually really visualized like a live action actor from a movie adaptation when I'm reading the book.
No, 100% no. Because it's not like they take over your perception of what you're reading. Yeah. But what I'm saying is like, if you can find like an actress or an actor who's really true to the part, they're not going to change your perception of the character, but it's different to kind of see how someone else's, like the director's perception of scenes have changed from your own. Okay. And that's what I think is really fascinating.
Honestly, yeah.
Like, I'm not going to read Hunger Games and visualize Jennifer Lawrence.
That's literally what I was thinking about. Too. I'm not even kidding. That was one of the two examples I was thinking of.
That's not like what I'm going to do. But then also like there's certain people, when I visualize while I'm reading, I don't generally visualize people's faces.
Fair.
They're more like blobs.
No, same. Yeah. They're just care outline.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
They're things.
Right.
But Pride and Prejudice.
Yes.
The film.
Yes.
Should I give a synopsis?
Please do.
I'm gonna fucking suck, actually. I don't know why I suggested that, even though it was gonna be my duty anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Fuck. So there's this girl, Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
She is a person. She needs, she's not into falling for the people. She'd be turning down suitors and like not getting, married, doing things like that. Her family's a little wild. They'd be marrying people off. It's a little crazy. There's this other dude, Mr. Darcy. He has the emotions of a wooden plank. And he's like, hey, I have the hots for you, but I won't say it for like a year. And then they go back and forth and it's like, ooh, haha, bouncing off. And then he's like, shit, I love you though. And she's like, shit, you a rich piece of shit though. And it goes on for another year of being like, does she hate him? Probably. Does she like him? Also, yes. And then they kind of eventually are like, okay, but no, we love each other. And it's a romance story for the ages.
That's one way to describe Pride and Prejudice.
That was the best possible way I could do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Word. So tell me your initial thoughts of this movie, Caleb.
I liked it. I think I didn't like love it because like certain portions or plot threads or characters I was like on, but I think what really carried the movie for me, not exactly carried, but like all of my love for the movie all derives from pretty much the same point of me just loving Elizabeth as a character. I adore her writing, and I think that like she makes the story, like all of it, and I mean makes sense as well given the context of the book. But I adore everything of hers throughout, like everything Elizabeth, the entire movie, entire story is just phenomenal.
Elizabeth is an incredible character.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because I think to give like people context, who like if you're not familiar with Pride and Prejudice, I don't know like where you've been. Like, hello, welcome to planet Earth. But like Pride and Prejudice was written in the time that it is set in.
When was it written, actually, specifically? Because I was thinking about that and I was gonna look it up and then I forgot because I do that usually. Let's find out. She's looking it up. It's the Google portion. I have to fill audio time while she Googles words, phrases.
The novel that we know it today as was 1996. Or sorry, 1796.
That makes way more sense. I was gonna be like, yo, 1996. God damn. I thought the miniseries came out in 1995. That's crazy.
It's 1796.
That makes sense.
Or 1796. She started it in 1796. It was published in 1797.
Honestly, we stand.
Yes.
Hell yeah. No, that's good. That's good. It's good stuff. Yeah, it's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, it's a Regency romance.
Regency?
Yeah, that's kind of like the genre.
What define Regency?
It's like a pre-Victorian kind of romance.
Okay, actually,
from the Regency period.
You're right. Yeah. Actually, I have to visualize the word, and then I was like, wait, actually, okay.
Yeah, it's the
period.
It's a Regency romance. So, like, for Jane Austen to be a woman writing this novel and writing it in her time when that wasn't like a socially acceptable thing for a lady to be passing her time with, and to not only write this novel that has like stood the test of time, but also to be calling out different prejudices having to do with the time frame. I mean, it's incredible.
Honestly. Okay, I wanted to start by asking some clarifying questions.
Absolutely.
Because there were things that I did not 100% like get clear on, and I think that would help me figure stuff out in our discussion. Anyway, so regarding classes, when we're talking like the Bennett family versus Mr. Darcy's whole group, what's exactly the like wealth or like class difference between them? I wasn't 100% clear on specifically how they differed. Because he's rich, I know that.
They describe the Bennet family as being poor, right? They're like, wow, they're destitute. But also, they have, like, maids and stuff.
Yeah.
So I can see where the confusion comes in. They would be considered to be, like, England's middle class.
Okay.
They're not poor. They're not, like, servants. But they're a middle class family.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And then he's high class.
And he's higher class. He's not, like, 1%, but he's, like, high class.
He's rich.
He's rich. I think the other thing that's really important to note about the Bennet family is very specifically that they have 5 daughters, no sons. And so a lot of the issues socially derive from the fact that none of the daughters can inherit anything from their father when he passes. Yeah. And so that's why the mother is so obsessed with marrying off her daughters. Yeah. Is because when the dad dies, they get actually nothing. She needs to make sure that they all have husbands in order to make sure that they will be okay after the dad dies, because also the mom's not going to get anything either. She's going to have to rely on her daughters to take care of her as well.
Yay, historical sexism.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's okay. That does actually make sense, though. Because I remember at the beginning of the movie, I was like, oh, yeah, they do be a little poor. They look a little ragged. Yeah. And then, as it went on, I was like, wait, but they do have, like, all the... Right. Yeah, okay.
They have all the amenities. And, like, yes, they're poor in relation to the other main players that we see, but they're not, like, poor.
Yeah. Okay, that was, like, really the big thing. I was, like, uncertain. I was like, I don't know if I 100% am sure on this. That'll at least help me so that I can frame all of our stuff through that. So
what else?
Yes, that was mainly it, actually, I think. Yeah.
If anything,
unless something, there might have been other things that I will remember. To be honest, we'll find out next time or later this episode on, I don't know, after this commercial break.
I wish we had commercial breaks.
Huggies, you know them, you love them. They hug your baby's butt. Period. It's cool. I'm
really just curious about your thoughts about this, because I love Pride and Prejudice. But do you love Mr. Darcy? See, that's an interesting question. And I guess this is the main thing I wanted to talk to you about. Is because there's 2 very drastic views on Mr. Darcy, right? There is he is the pinnacle. He is the blueprint. He is, like, every girl is looking for their Mr. Darcy, right? And then there is what? He is the rudest, most stubborn, non-personable person. Why does everyone love Mr. Darcy, right? Yeah. I fall in the middle. Fair. Because here's the thing about Mr. Darcy, right? Is I think he's just socially awkward. I think that he was so rich his whole life, he never had to be surrounded by other people and like learn how to communicate with them. I also think that the people that he did trust in his life hurt him, and so he's not willing to like trust people very easily. And so I think he's just like, he's fine. I love Mr. Darcy. I do. I don't think he's the pinnacle of romance. I don't think he's like, I don't think he's the suave. I think that's what's so endearing to me about Mr. Darcy is because I don't think he's like the suave lady killer. Everyone, but I think he's kind of goofy and he's charming in his own way. And I think that he is sweet, but doesn't know how to show that he's sweet. And I think that I love Mr. Darcy. Yeah. I mean, see, I feel like conceptually, I like the social awkwardness side, and I feel like because honestly, I mean, as mildly bisexual, the male characters I find myself often attracted to are that's very like socially awkward, like that exact vibe. But for some reason, Mr. Darcy, I was like, bro, I don't like this guy. I just did not. He didn't pass your vibe check? He didn't. He was just like a plank of wood, and he just couldn't show emotions. I also noticed while we were watching that every single time they like showed him doing something that would portray him as having emotions, that is precisely when you look down to write your notes. Like I had made a count of that where I like wanted to like tap you on the shoulder, and I'm like, look at him looking.
Damn.
Look at him. Look at him.
I just missed it, you know. I didn't see shit.
You did.
I don't know. It was like he just like I was the funniest was then he like actually has like his first like full smile when he's like with his sister.
Yeah.
It's like bruh.
Because he's like her fatherly figure.
No, yeah.
He's like, that's like his daughter.
It was funny though. Elizabeth's just like watching and she's like, wow, he's actually smiling for the first time and it was like, with another woman. Bro.
But I think, you know, some of my favorite like Mr. Darcy scenes that I think really show his character more is there's of course the infamous hand flex, which you missed.
No, I did see that. I wrote it down
like
in my notes.
helps her onto the carriage, and then there's just this close up on his hand flexing. Upset.
No, yeah, I actually have that.
Okay, good.
See, I would look down my notes, but I'd be glancing my eyes back and forth.
There's also of course him interacting with Georgiana, his sister.
Oh yeah.
There's the scene where he tries to propose to Elizabeth the first time, but he can't bring up the courage to do it. So he just walks in. That shit is so fucking funny. He can't like communicate what he means, and then he just like stands there awkwardly and then just leaves.
Just dips.
There's also the scene where Elizabeth is reading the note from Jane, and she like is walking in circles, and every time she enters the room he stands up, and then she leaves and he sits down and stands back up.
That was good. Although it was a little weird because it kind of contrasted a little with her emotion in the scene.
Yes.
I was like a little weird, so I was laughing, and then I was like, wait, but then she's also like emotional. Yeah, she's like real fucked up right now.
But he doesn't know what to do because he wants to comfort her, but
that's fair.
He can't.
See,
and so he's just like,
there are so many pockets, especially when they play into the comedy of it, that they do like him almost. And there was just this like kind of push thing for me where I was like, I disliked him most of the time, but then it would occasionally be like, oh, that was a fun moment.
Experiencing the same emotions as Elizabeth Bennett.
Fair. But I didn't end up sleeping with him at the end, so I think that's the...
There's also the scene where he's training Mr. Bingley on how to propose.
That was great. That was
and
great.
You don't really hear them, but then you hear the like he's like, Miss Bennett. Mr. Darcy goes, Mr. Bingley.
yes. Which honestly, I mean, I was not a Bingley fan up until around that portion of the movie. Like he was there, and I was like, nah. I was just like, I did not care for Bingley. I was like, nah, they ain't gonna make me like him. And then that scene happened, and I was like, that's kind of wholesome, actually. I was like, damn, they made me like Bingley. And then I had, Bingley, bro. Bingley.
I think that he's just kind of a goof, and he's not suave, and he really tries to play as suave, and it just doesn't work for him. Which makes him look like an asshole. Fair. You know?
Yeah.
The other thing that I really wanted to touch with you on was Mr. Collins as a character.
Oh, yeah.
He is the funniest.
Just fucking.
He is the cringiest.
Oh God.
Funniest fucking short man.
Dude, every scene just ends up just more like he's just embarrassing himself.
Yes.
Embarrassing himself.
And my favorite thing was you looked at me like I was crazy the moment he was introduced, because the moment he's introduced, that he brings up Lady Catherine de Bourgh the first second he can. And I started crying laughing. And Caleb looked at me like I was psycho.
She was just like dying of laughter at this like random scene, and I'm like, what?
And then I could tell the exact moment he understood why I was laughing by like the third time he brought up Lady Catherine.
Yeah. Homie was goofy as fuck.
He's so goofy.
It was amusing, honestly. Yeah. You know who I was very sad about? Let me see. Where I don't know where my notebook went.
Was it Mr. Wickham?
Yeah, I was gonna say Mr. Wickham, bruh. I was a little. I think it was character assassination, man.
It is the Mr. Wickham to Mr. Darcy pipeline,
bro. It was I was like full on. I was like, fuck Mr. Darcy, Mr. Wickham, bro.
That's what you're supposed to do.
And then they pulled that shit, which I also predicted as well, because I wrote in my notes, I was like, I swear to fucking God, if to make me like Mr. Darcy, they make him evil or creepy or just an overall shitty person later in the fucking movie, I will be so upset. And then that happened, and I was like, but bro is fucking hot. That was really mostly it, actually. But he was also not a huge dick on screen.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, all of his worst actions happened off screen. I was annoyed by that because I was like, fucking have the balls to show us him being actively awful on screen. It was hard for me to separate my love for him because they wouldn't show him actively being horrible. And I was like, come on, let me like sever this tie. I have an emotional bond with this motherfucker. Even now, man, I'm like
Was him having premarital sex with a 15-year-old not enough for you?
Well, it was off screen, but I did write that in my notes as like the big moment where I actually like couldn't keep justifying. Because as they're talking about his gambling and stuff, I'm like, so the man had a gambling, he's hot, it's fine. And then I was like, 15-year-old.
Yeah,
that's a little. It's you know, he wouldn't do that. Not my Mr. Wig.
And the fact that he specifically did it essentially to get back at Mr. Darcy.
No, that's. I mean, he said, she said. We now know the truth. Maybe Mr. Darcy was also lying. That's my head. I just want to believe that he wouldn't do that. He was
he did marry a 15-year-old.
Well, you know, we don't know for sure. I mean, I separate.
She had the ring on her finger, bruh.
Pre Mr. What's it? Wickham. Pre-fall Mr. Wickham, best boy, best option. Best option.
That's the point. That's what they're trying to make you think.
No, I know, but also I was pissed that they went the obvious route of making him evil.
This isn't this is the original route.
Like, no, I know. It pissed me off.
Back in the 1700s.
It pissed me off, man. I was like, come on, bro. I don't give excuses for the 1700s.
I'm sure Jane Austen will take your criticism into account.
Submit it to her family
to her grave?
Crest. Yeah. No, I don't know. I mostly actually, because for a while I was like, nah, shit writing, actually. I was so angry. And then I was like, no, I'm. The thing about
it is that you're mad because you're like, it's so unoriginal. When it's like the original. It is the
original. That's true. That's true.
OG.
But also, it's like lazy because it's a way to get us to like Mr. Darcy more by intentionally bringing in another character who doesn't like Mr. Darcy, and of course making them super evil and awful and being like, and see, now Mr. Darcy's so good now because we made this other character evil and they didn't like Mr. Darcy. And that's like, I don't know, it just feels like it felt cheap.
He was used for both accounts, though. Yeah. He was used to help villainize Mr. Darcy.
Yeah, and then they undid all the villainizing, and that was like the whole point, is they specifically have him villainize him so that they can unvillainize him, and that was like his purpose. I felt that. The thing is for a chunk of the movie, I was serious about this criticism, and then as the movie progressed, I realized that I was just salty because I really liked him, and I mean, he and Kiera Knightley's Elizabeth, they would have had like beautiful babies. That's all I'm saying. Beautiful babies. I think that would have been the power couple because it's two hot people. Sorry.
There's another major point that I want to talk to you about. Right? Mm-hmm. So the people who are like, Mr. Darcy is the pinnacle, he is the blueprint. Oh. How much of that do you feel comes from the fact that he's rich?
Honestly, probably a decent amount. Yeah. I won't lie.
Because that's one of the things that is brought to like my attention a lot when I'm rewatching this, is it's understandable in the context of what it's written, because having a rich husband to fulfill all of your needs as well as you're in love with him. Yeah. I mean, that's the dream, bruh. Mm-hmm. But like in today's society, right?
Yeah.
Which is, of course, the only real context that we have to look at it, because we weren't alive in the 1700s.
Damn.
It's like, what part of Mr. Darcy's... If Mr. Darcy was just as middle class as well... Mm-hmm. Would he be as charming? And I think the answer is no.
Honestly.
But also, and this is something I wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
As I'm like trying to ask you this question, but answering my own question,
that's
right?
Fine.
Is, you know how there's this like, and I feel like I'm going to get canceled for this. So.
Warning.
Trigger warning, I guess.
Okay, wait.
Caitlin's canceled.
What you going to say? Let me hear it.
So like, you know how we often say that, like, as a society, we are not defined by our riches. Like, we are not defined by our wealth. We are more than our wealth, right?
Bullshit.
That's kind of what I'm saying, is that, like, yes, you are more than your wealth, but also to say that your wealth doesn't dictate your personality doesn't make sense to me.
No, and especially because the thing is when you're living in a capitalistic society or a society that, you know, so divides social classes based on wealth, then obviously, like, the way you interact with the society is going to change your personality, because that's just, like, I feel like that's a natural. Right. Yeah, I don't think you need to get canceled. Okay. If someone cancels you for that, then they shouldn't be fucking watching this, because I think you are spitting facts.
No, so, like, I think it's interesting because it's like, well, if Mr. Darcy was poor, then women wouldn't like him as much.
He would just be like a loner dude who can't express emotions.
Exactly. But also, he's not poor. Yeah. And that also defines his personality. And that defines most of the plot of the book is around wealth and the consumption of wealth.
That's fair. I will say one of my favorite bits is Elizabeth, when he first confesses his love for her, she just rips the fuck into him. And I was like, go off, queen. Yeah,
she really does. It's such a girl boss moment.
It is.
She's like, I'm sorry, you love me despite?
Yes, like, literally. And he's like, I feel so bad about the fact that I love you. And it's like he's ashamed of it because of their fucking wealth disparity.
Right, and it's because of her family. And she's like, okay.
Calls his ass out for that. I was like, see, this is why we don't stand Mr. fucking Darcy, bro. Oh my god. Also, and this is something I was gonna bring up as well, because as I was watching it, the film, I was realizing, I was like, wow, I really did not absorb or take away almost any of the readings from the book, because I did not get much of this. I blanked half this shit out. Okay. But the one thing that I did kind of like, it was like a very vague sense, because I don't remember anything explicitly, but I feel like my readings with like Mr. Darcy, his character felt different slightly. Like, I don't know, he came off to me different in the reading, the readings I did of portions of passages of the book versus how he was portrayed in the movie. I don't know if that's like an actual thing or if I'm like crazy just because this is a vague memory.
I haven't read Pride and Prejudice in like 10 years.
Oof,
I don't know.
That's fair. I mean, it might not have been a whole thing. I think I'm mostly curious to see if like the actor and like the way that they, I don't know, if the interpretation of him altered at least a little bit of it.
I would assume it has to, because I think, kind of what we were talking about before we actually started talking about the movie. That's part of like what makes book to movie adaptations so pertinent, is that you get to see these, especially dialogues, and how they're portrayed and differed based off of interpretation. Yeah. And so it could be that book Mr. Darcy is just 10 times more charismatic, but probably not.
I felt like I just remember being like, oh yeah, he's a chill dude. Yeah. Like, I didn't actively be like, wow, this guy is so uninteresting as a romantic person. Right. I was on my hater shit today for Mr. Darcy, man.
This was one thing that I love about this story is that I am a big fan of enemies to lovers. Oh, and so I feel like this is like the OG enemies to lovers.
That is fair. I see it's really funny because there's a lot about the dynamics and even Mr. Darcy himself that I really, like I said before, I appreciate it conceptually. Yeah. And I do think it led to a lot of other fiction later on that used these same tropes or storylines or ideas. But I feel like it doesn't hit for me in the same way that other ones do. Like Enemies to Lovers, also love that trope. Didn't exactly work for me here. Mr. Darcy as a character, I adore characters. They're written very similarly to him, but for some reason he specifically just like bored me. Like I didn't find him very compelling or
captivating.
Yeah. It didn't feel like there was a lot of character behind that,
him. As much as I like to shit on the miniseries, for being too long. I think that part of that is just the fact that this entire book is being told in 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And so the evolution of the relationship between Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy has to happen really quickly. So they have to give you all of this context for it. And then you have to make them fall in love by the end. And so it's like we have an hour and a half of disposition and then only 30 minutes to experience them actually being in love with each other.
And it's not like there's not enough time to really delve into his own character anyway. Right. And that's what the book's for. Maybe someday I'll read the book. I'm not going to read the book. That's a lie. I'm scarred. I might be able to watch the movie, but the book, too much. Just kidding. One of my classes will eventually make me do it. They'll force me eventually. Fully, yeah.
Maybe we'll do a little book club.
Hey.
Where you and I just read Pride and Prejudice together.
My God. I'm down. New episode, books. We switched up cynical bookophiles.
Bibliophiles. It would be bibliophiles.
Bibliophiles. We're cynical, bored bibliophiles.
We're bewitching bibliophiles.
Basic bitch bibliophiles.
Obsessed.
Honestly, it would go hard.
It would go hard.
Yeah.
Except for new episodes would come out like once a month.
Yeah, nah. We fucking fast readers. What you mean?
We're pretty fast.
I'm like a speed reader.
Yeah, I've read, I think 6 books this month.
Honestly, peak. I've read 1 to 4-ish.
Well, let me check my Goodreads to see how many I've actually
Damn, pulling out the Goodreads. That's how you know she's professional. This is like, she does this for work. This is like a job.
I do this. 6 books.
Impressive, honestly. Oh, is that the Jeanette McCurdy book?
Yeah, I just finished it.
How was that?
Oh,
I've heard really good things about
it. It is so fucking good.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. We stand.
I read it. I started it 2 days ago and I finished it yesterday.
Nice. So it was like a 1 day.
Yeah,
kinda.
Basically.
Fair enough, honestly.
I started it at work one day and then I read almost halfway through the book and then I almost finished it at work yesterday and then I got into my car and just finished it before I went home.
Damn.
Yeah.
Honestly, we stand.
We stand.
We straight stand.
We stand Jeanette McCurdy. It's so fucking good.
I honestly do want to read it at some point. I'm not gonna lie.
I own it, so if you want to borrow it.
I would love to loan a copy.
But I just finished right before I read I'm Glad My Mom Died. I read Mr. Malcolm's List, which is another. It's inspired by Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, I've heard of it, I believe.
And
I think
that one...
Not
that
a
one
fan.
didn't hit for me.
Mr. Malcolm, not it.
The way that they wrote Mr. Malcolm, he was no Mr. Darcy.
Oof.
They really tried to play him as a Mr. Darcy, but man.
Damn. And his list wasn't all that impressive either.
Well, his list is like, it's his list of requirements of having a good wife. So he has like this secret list that he maintains to like make sure that he's marrying the right woman or whatever. And that's kind of what the whole plot of the book is about. It's about like this woman who's like scorned by Mr. Malcolm and finds out that he has this list, and so she gets one of her friends to figure out what his list is to be able to like exemplify all of the traits on his list and make him fall in love with her. And then at the end she's supposed to pull out her own list and talk about why he doesn't, but then they end up like actually falling in love. And then it's like,
that sounds like shit, honestly. Sounds awful.
I liked it.
Sounds trash.
Okay.
Mr. Malcolm can go die in a fire.
Okay, word. I read it because I really want to watch the movie.
That's probably where I've actually heard of it, because I know I've heard that name before. So I feel like it. Yeah,
it's a movie. I really want to watch it.
That's fair, understandable.
And that one will probably be easier to a book to movie adaptation because it's only like 120 pages long.
Yeah.
Like
how many pages is Pride and Prejudice?
It's like in the 300s.
Oh, that's not too bad either.
Yeah, it's like, I think, let's look, shall we?
Let's take a look-see.
I'm gonna
Googling things. This is the song that I'm going to start humming when Caitlin Googles things from now on. Doesn't really have a tune. It's a work in progress. It'll get better in the future, guys. Don't worry. My humming skills will improve. Have you found an answer yet?
It depends on what edition, obviously.
Oh yeah, of course.
But usually generally it's about $2.79.
Oh yeah, that's not bad at all, actually. But I mean, honestly, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, shifting away from general story stuff, I did want to at least have a chance to express my appreciation for the look of this movie, because my fucking god,
it looks so good.
It's so good. Oh my cinematography. I'm a whore for long takes, and they use a good amount of them here, and I just dynamic shots, long takes.
There's so many like dynamic shots, and there's also so many like more artistic shots than you would think there would be.
No,
like there's
100%.
so many shots, and it's actually something I noticed, and I think it's because we started this podcast and we talk about movies in this light that I've never noticed this before. But there's so many shots like when they're in the ball and they're talking, and then it cuts to a shot where they're the only two in the room, and then it cuts back and there's a ton of people there, or like when he delivers the letter. And he walks up behind her while she's looking at herself in the mirror, and then he like disappears. It's so good.
Oh, we love it. And also, I feel like a lot of the moments that got the best laughs, and I noticed this with you, is like those, like, you know, those camera push-ins where they like zoom in or zoom out.
It's kind of really like The Office.
No, it felt like Sam Raimi kind of like just rapid camera, but it's just very funny and campy in a good way. Like it works so well for. I love that style, and it's just, and this also with the shots they'll do of like wide shots of landscapes and scenery and like. Oh my god! I don't know where they filmed this, like what country or wherever the fuck, but holy shit,
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's the color palette too, and like it's just I appreciate 2005 films for actually looking proper. It has a dynamic feel to it, like the film or footage or whatever. Just I don't know. It's such a. I was really trying throughout to like the movie to like find a way to describe exactly what it was, but I couldn't really come to a conclusion. But I'm like, compare this to something like Enola Holmes. They both bore me a little bit because they're historical-ish, but Enola Holmes actively like was not immersive in a filmmaking standpoint. It was very ugly and very just shit in every technical.
I think when you have a historical fiction, it has to be shot different than a modern, contemporary fiction, because when you have kind of the camera angles that Enola Holmes was going for, to your point of it being unimmersive, it just feels cheap, and it feels like the setting is wrong. Like it doesn't, there's something about like having in a historical fiction with the long shots and wide angles and interesting like lighting structure
the
that
lighting
like makes it so dynamic, as opposed to feeling like a Marvel movie. You know
exactly though. 100%.
As much as we both are obsessed with Marvel movies.
No, I fucking hate the way that they look most of the time. Like modern, that's exactly the example I would have used there. Yeah, no, Marvel movies are becoming the exact thing that we don't want to aspire to.
Right.
Minus like a couple.
Where it's like shot by shot, there's nothing interesting about the way it's being shot. It's
very desaturated frames. It feels very thrown together, very corporate, very just
it feels like they're carbon copies of one another.
Yeah, it's very soulless. But I mean, the lighting, you just mentioned that. I cannot believe I forgot to say that along with cinematography, because holy fuck, the lighting just constantly, I was like, oh my god, these are so well lit. There's so many cool I love the lighting. Oh my god.
And the light like reflecting off of her tear as it's falling from her. Oh,
dude, they did so many fucking awesome things with the lighting. Also, I think just in general, like between the set design and then the costuming, and especially the hairstylists, oh my god, whoever the hairstylist or stylists were on this film, they were fucking great.
This is the first time you have ever brought up costuming yourself.
I know that's how good it was.
That's how
I was, good it was. Like throughout like Elizabeth, Kiera Knightley, all of her different hair and costuming. At the beginning of the film, she looks very ragged, and it works really well. I don't know, there's just like this textural feel to it that just like immerses it within the also very good set design and scenery around, and it feels so immersive. And that's of course amplified even further by Kiera Knightley herself delivering a phenomenal performance. Like I was blown away at how well, like I don't get, honestly, I couldn't give less of a fuck about any of the other actors. But Keira Knightley, like, holy shit, she turned in like an A grade performance. Like her like stares early in the film at fucking Mr. Darcy. Like, I don't know, she's able to just capture something in these looks and like just the attitude. It feels genuine. That's what was really interesting watching. I was like, it doesn't feel like she's like acting to try to like play. Like, she feel like all of her reactions to Mr. Darcy and her teasing and playing around and like everything she like, it all felt so real.
Because I think the beauty of her acting is she's able to do it so subtly.
Yes.
It's not over the top. It's not, she embodies a character, all the characters that she plays so well that she gets, you can't tell the difference. You can't tell it's Keira Knightley.
No, yeah. It was
and
great.
She also just like as a human being carries herself with like such elegance and grace that it really like translate to screen very well.
Oh yeah. No, we stan Keira Knightley.
Honestly, I love all of the actors from this movie. I mean, there's some big ticket names in here.
Or that, I mean, I guess there was like a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit.
I do find it funny because I'd seen this like a little bit before because I was looking at the Wikipedia page and it's like, yeah, so Mr. Darcy's actor just didn't really do jack shit after this. This was like his one thing. He was in the Nutcracker movie. He guest starred on 3 episodes of Criminal Minds. He actually like has a big long list of filmography, but none of it's anything notable. And I'm like, damn, bro.
They're really just calling him out.
Yeah. Bro, homie just didn't have the skill to pay the bill.
Period.
No offense to you, dude, if you're watching. I don't actually have any hard feelings against
That's
him,
why people say that COLIN FIRTH is like the good Mr. Darcy. I'm surprised you haven't talked about the fact that Carey Mulligan's in this movie.
Oh, yeah. I honestly didn't actually like mentally think about that till just now.
Yep.
Huh.
Our queen.
We do stan, honestly.
We do.
Wait, why do you bring up COLIN FIRTH? Sorry, he's not in the movie, is he?
No.
Yeah.
No. Because he plays Mr. Darcy in the 1995 miniseries.
Oh, dude, he would go hard as Mr. See, I feel like I would like Mr. Darcy if it was COLIN FIRTH playing. I love COLIN FIRTH. Oh my god.
Look at him.
No, he looks great.
Yeah.
Dude, that's my Mr. Darcy right there. See, I feel like there's the potential for me to like a version of Mr. Darcy. This film was not it for me personally, but honestly, COLIN FIRTH, I mean, already I'm on board. I'm like,
are we watching the miniseries?
No, but I might watch a YouTube compilation of COLIN FIRTH's scenes specifically, just because we stan him.
But like,
generally.
That's one of the reasons that people say that the 1995 Pride and Prejudice is better.
So they have an actually good Mr. Darcy. Oh, shit!
I love this Mr. Darcy.
I don't like
he's like my Mr. Darcy.
He's like
the Mr. Darcy I grew up with. You know what I mean?
He just doesn't have feelings.
I'm sure he has feelings.
He has no feelings. He's dead inside, and he's rich, and he sucks.
I also love, like, at the end of the initial proposal scene where she, like, tries to fuck him up and she, like, emotionally destroys him. How they almost kiss at the end.
Yeah. I was like, bro, if they fuck, I was very happy they didn't, because I would have been, like, kind of upset. I feel like that wouldn't have worked. They had actually kissed there.
Yep.
I was like, don't fucking do it. Nah, that ain't right. That ain't right now. Bro. No, that's just, I also loved the scene similarly to that where it was, what was her fucking, was that Catherine, the older lady?
Lady Catherine de Bourgh?
Yeah. She's the one who like yells at her and they have like their one-on-one conversation. Yeah. That scene I also really like, because it was this very similar thing where she's just like going full on like, fuck you. You offended me. You're a piece of shit. And I came out and she was just like spitting facts. And I was like, again, queen shit. Sorry. Yeah. That just reminded me of that, because both of those two scenes were like two of the best instances of Elizabeth just spitting fucking facts.
One of my favorite like Jane Austen like shit posts. I'm in a couple Jane Austen shit posts as well. Is the way that like Jane is described in the book. Is because like, you know, she is super pious and sweet and there's this like whole shit post where it's like, we have this character who is the most well-behaved, sweetest, prettiest character. I shall name her Jane.
Hey, humble.
It's really funny because Jane Austen never married.
Interesting.
So she writes all of these like topical like love stories, and I think one of the true inspiring things about Jane Austen and her writing is how much is still topical to this day.
Yeah.
Like how much of these kind of the issues between class, prejudices, prides.
Whoa.
How much that these are still relevant, and how much people can still resonate with these stories to this day, and how much, you know, for everything that we have done to progress in us as a society, there are still things that we haven't gotten over.
Yeah, I mean, it's because we're living in the same system, sort of, just enhanced.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's, I assume there's like some modern takes on Pride and Prejudice, right? I mean, there's got to be, because I feel like it lends itself so well to that even though I haven't seen any, like just watching it, I'm like, oh, I could for sure see how you could like update this, because it's exactly what you're saying. It's like those themes, those, you know, things that it's commentating
There's
on,
also this book that I ended up not, I'm not obsessed with the book, but I'm really obsessed with the concept of the book. And it's called Jane in Love. And it essentially takes Jane Austen and it transports her to modern times.
Oh, I think I've heard about, maybe from you.
Yeah,
I've probably from you.
I read it last year.
That makes sense.
And it deals with the idea of like the character of Jane Austen, and has to make the decision of if she would rather have the love of her life, have the happiness that comes with being in love, or would she rather have the infamy that comes with the books that she's written, and the time that she's spent, because it's essentially her true soulmate lives in the contemporary times. And so when she transform, or when she like time travels to modern day times, that's where she finds the love of her life. But because she's now living in modern society, her books were never written.
Interesting. See, it is like a little weird. Like I always am like a little weirded when they take like a real person and then like
make them into a character.
Yeah. But also at the same time, I think if it's done well, I can fuck with it.
It was okay.
Okay, well,
because like the biggest thing for me is I feel like they tried to make the love interest of Jane Austen into kind of a more Mr. Darcy kind of figure, and I don't think Jane Austen as a person would be into Mr. Darcy. I don't think that this was a self-insert. You know what I mean? It's not a self-insert in the same way that like Twilight's a self-insert. Yeah. You know, you can very much tell, I think, when something is, and I don't think that. I mean, if any, there's a character with her name, if anything's a self-insert in there. But like Jane was known for being more of like an Elizabeth Bennet than like a Jane Bennet.
Fair enough.
I don't know, but like I don't know.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should we talk about quote of the movie?
Yeah, I think it's quote of the movie time. I have some. I don't really know if I have any great quotes. We'll find out. We shall see.
I might have to Google quotes because I started writing down quotes and then there's none of like the like really great quotes. That
I don't have a ton of quotes, honestly. I didn't. Not a ton stood out to me, to be honest. But
really,
I'm not gonna lie.
There's a ton that stand out to me.
That's fair. See, I feel like there's a lot of moments that I can think on, but like the actual quotes themselves didn't quite like. I don't know. The first one I had written down was at the beginning, just because I thought it was like. I mean, it's one of those foreshadowing.
Okay.
Where it's one of these days, Lizzie, someone will catch your eye, and then you'll have to watch your tongue.
Yep.
And I was like, damn, it's because she's gonna have a crush. That's great. That's calling the feud. That's like what's gonna. Yeah, that's.
So the first quote that I have written down is between Mr. and Mrs. Bennet, and Mrs. Bennet's like, "I have to tell you something," and Mr. Bennet's like, "As you wish to tell me. I doubt I have any choice."
That's right. We stand, honestly. Yeah. That's good stuff.
What's your next quote?
I have another. It's from actually also towards the beginning. It's Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth, where Elizabeth goes, "Do you dance, Mr. Darcy?" And he goes, Not if I can help it.
I have that one written down too.
That was a funny little gaff, and I was like, "Damn, he just like me for real,
for real." But then he asked her to dance later.
There was too much dancing. I haven't said that by the way, but I got by the like 8th dance. Oh my god, I was fucking bored.
So like,
Please
the best part about like him asking her to dance is the fact that she said at the beginning of the movie, she's talking about how poetry isn't the most accurate way to portray your feelings towards someone else. And he's like, well, what's a better way to tell your feelings for someone else? And she's like, dancing. And then he asked her to dance.
Damn. I suppose I can maybe say we stand that.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of cute. It's a little cute.
It's a little cute. There's also the scene right at the beginning. It's in the same scene as my first one, but he's talking to someone and he opens the door and all the daughters are there. And he goes, the dad goes, good heavens, people. And I was like, he just like me for real.
Bro. I loved Elizabeth when she's trying to talk about why she doesn't like Mr. Darcy. She's just like, he's so rich. I was like, damn, she's spitting, bro. She's spitting.
There is also a scene towards the beginning, and it's the same scene, I think, that is from your There's Gonna Be Someone One Day, and then you'll have to watch your tongue. It's the line before that where Charlotte and Elizabeth are talking, or Jane and Elizabeth are talking, and Jane says something about men, and Elizabeth says they are far too easy to judge.
Honestly? Spitting, bro. Spitting. We talked about the scene. Just the funny scene where he's like trying to propose but isn't able to. I just love how he comes in and there's just like this awkward silence for like 10 seconds. Then he's like, this is a charming house. It was just fucking goofy. Oh god. Another in the same vein as that, another one of those like awkward moments where it's when she sees him with his sister and she's like running off and he like comes back and he's like, you having a pleasant trip? Yeah. It's just funny as fuck.
Well, one of my favorite quotes is Jane, or is it Charlotte? I can't remember. Overhears Mr. Darcy talking shit about Elizabeth. And the character says, count your blessings. If he liked you, you'd have to talk to him.
Yeah, I do remember that. That's a pretty good line, honestly.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I have this line I wrote down because I was like, damn, they kind of summon up Mr. Darcy here, where it was Elizabeth's like with her dad, right? And he's like, we all know him to be a proud, unpleasant sort of fellow, and I was like, damn, bro, fuck that guy.
My next one, I feel like is a really huge contender for quote of the movie, so I'm gonna skip it for now.
Oh, fair enough.
But so my next one is we are all fools in love.
Damn. I mean, true. Except for those of us who are not fools, nor in love.
Period.
Yes. I have one more written down. This is probably, of all of mine, the one that I would be like closest to being like, hey, this would be my favorite. But I'm also like, I'm not too strongly on any of these. But the one that I have as my last one is the interaction of, I thought she didn't like him. So did I. So did we all. I was like, that kind of sums up like the bulk of the movie there.
So there's, my last two quotes are, I think, the best contenders for quote of the movie.
Okay.
This next quote, I am getting tattooed on my body. I don't know when, but it's happening.
Okay.
And it is, you have bewitched me body and soul.
Ooh.
Fucking good.
That's fair.
So that's one of my contenders for quote of the movie.
Okay.
The other contender for quote of the movie is after Mr. Darcy asks her to dance and she's talking to Jane and she says, did I just agree to dance with Mr. Darcy? It's most inconvenient since I swore to loathe him for all eternity. That's
peak. I think we should go with that one. Yeah. Honestly. I love that one. I think that's a good one. That's a good one.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Roll the clip.
Did I just agree to dance with Mr. Darcy? I dare say you will find him very amiable, is he? It would be most inconvenient since I have sworn to loathe him for all eternity.
The clip has been rolled. I love doing, I don't know, it's such a fun, I like saying the words before and after. It's a good section. You know what else is a good section? Final scores. That's the section we're currently at, where we give scores, the final ones.
Okay.
I have to think, because I did flip around a little bit.
Okay.
I think for me personally, I would give it a 7.5.
That is way higher than I thought.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no. I think there's a lot of value, and I didn't talk about it too much, but I think Elizabeth's character writing is actually phenomenal. There's a reason that I have to study it in all my classes.
Yeah.
It's because there's so much there. I didn't go too much into depth with it, but I think that's what carries it to that score.
I feel like there's so much that we just like didn't get to really touch on.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like there's maybe one day we'll come back to this.
We'll watch the miniseries.
And then we'll come back
to it.
Or
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Or
period.
Yeah, we'll watch one of the millions of other ones. Yeah. We have 2005 here for a reason.
Yes,
gives us an opportunity. What's your score?
Listen, you're gonna be mad at me.
A 10?
This is one of my
actually a 10?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Fair.
This is in like probably my top, I would say top 7 favorite movies of all time.
God damn.
And so I have to give it a 10. I wasn't planning to give it a 10 going into this. I was just like bullshitting right before we were sitting down to watch it. I was like, yeah, this is probably an 8, 9. But as I'm watching it, I have written in my notes, I love this movie so fucking much.
Fair.
Like time and time again. And it's so good. It warms my little soul. I am a romance fan through and through. I love watching romance movies. I love reading romance books. And there is nothing quite as quintessential to me as Pride and Prejudice. And having this kind of accessible, bite-sized version of Pride and Prejudice is just so good. Keira Knightley is amazing. I know you didn't love Mr. Darcy, but like I love this Mr. Darcy. I think he's so goofy. Mr. Darcy. I think he's so goofy and funny and... it's a 10 out of 10 for me.
God damn. So I guess that equals out to a 8.5, 8.75. Fucking Christ. Wow, that's a high ass score. God damn.
I'm sorry. I love this movie.
So fair enough. I respect it, sort of. Yes. I'm playing.
No, it's fine. No. I know it seems too high. And I can't help it. I would not be being true to myself if I gave it anything less than a 10.
Honestly, fair. I respect it. So 8.75 is the final sky for Cynical Cinephiles. So yeah, that was that movie.
In the same vein as how you were last week, we are taking a positive approach to movies coming forth. And so whatever you're about to tell me is the movie for next week or 2 weeks from now, I will be the happiest person alive.
That's beautiful. The funny thing is, I have not decided between a few picks. So we're going to do a little wild way to go about it. All right. I'm going to list I'll vaguely, I don't know. Let me see. How do I want to, because I have like a few that I wanted like that are on my plate, but I haven't decided. So maybe I'll say vague things so you can have the choice.
Okay.
So you could, let's say we could do, a nice dark comedy throwback from like the 80s.
Okay.
We could do a musical comedy throwback from around the same time.
Throwback.
Already the win.
If there's a musical theater option, I'm taking it. Sorry.
All right. Then I guess that's what we're going with.
Okay.
I randomly got a craving to watch Little Shop of Horrors. We're about to have a banger episode where we cry.
Okay, so going back to my top 7 favorite movies of all time, Little Shop of Horrors is one of my favorite. Not only is it one of my favorite movies, it is my favorite musical of all time.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I am obsessed with Little Shop of Horrors.
Hell yeah.
Obsessed. I'm sorry. I love Little Shop of Horrors.
We winning.
My God.
Yeah, I got a craving and I was like,
so
we gotta
obsessed
watch
with
it.
that.
Yeah. Have you seen the director or the alternate ending director?
So I have a funny story about that. And maybe I should save it for next time, but I'm not going to. I'm
fuck that. We'll say it right now.
So I had only ever watched the premiered ending before. until I showed it to Toby. And so I had no idea that a director's cut existed.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching this movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, with my boyfriend for the first time. And the ending, the director's cut ending happens, which I won't say anything about. But I was like, this is not how I remember it going. And then I started thinking I was fucking crazy because I was like, what the fuck is going on? So then I Googled it and found out that there were 2 different versions. And I have no idea how I found this version, the director's cut version, because it didn't say that's what it was. Oh, wow. And I was like, what the fuck?
That's a little goofy. Well, I think for us covering it, we should both endings, because that's, I think, the preferred way to do it, in my opinion. I'm like, gotta get both, because there's a lot of discussion between the 2 endings and connections to the play version, the stage version is the right way to say that. But see, it's gonna be a hype episode. The positivity was genuine.
It is so genuine. I love this movie so.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it. Yeah, no, that's the good shit.
I have never been so hype.
Hell yeah.
What was your other option?
I wanted to do Heathers at some point. That is.
That's also. I want to do Heathers so bad too.
That was.
I've never seen Heathers.
See, and that's why we got to do it. Yes, and that's why I know that. I
am obsessed. So I haven't watched the musical version of Heathers either, but I have been listening to the soundtrack nonstop.
God, the soundtrack is so good.
And there is a stage production that has been recorded on Roku. And so there is
heard about that. I have almost
watch a stage and I don't know if that goes outside the realm of this podcast.
What if we watch the movie and the stage?
I'm super down.
I'm down for that, honestly. I would, because I really want to watch the musical. I've heard it's not actually like as good as the movie by like good amount, but also
I feel like it's a different kind of cult classic.
Fair. You know? Yeah. See, I just love, what song is it? It's like one where it's like, Veronica, open the door, please.
That's,
Veronica, open the door.
Oh God, now
it's called Meant to Be Yours.
Yes, Meant to Be Yours.
I love that song. That is my favorite fucking song from the musical.
Big fan. So that's one of my favorite songs. My other favorite song is Dead Girl Walking Reprise.
The Reprise. Yeah. I see. Okay,
I just think there's a line in it that's so good, and when we watch it, I will.
So that's on a future episode.
Yes. I'm so excited for Little Shop of Horrors. You have no idea.
It's gonna be peak. Yeah, and all the other options I had were just in various things with Nicolas Cage in them.
Oh,
which would have been peak, but it's fine. We'll save them, I guess.
Oh my God, I don't think I've ever been like so proud to be your best friend, except for
we love
this
to see it.
moment.
We love to see it. See, I was like, we're taking the positivity seriously.
Did you know that this is like my
No, I didn't actually.
You didn't?
No.
Oh my God. Yeah. Little Shop of Horrors is like it for me.
Well, I now know this. Yeah.
Oh my God. It is my favorite. No, it is my favorite musical of all time.
I mean, honestly, fair. I don't really have a ranking in my musicals, but it's definitely like a huge one in my heart. Like it's a
and then we can talk about my musical theater background and how I annoy all my friends. God. I'm so excited.
It's gonna be we'll burst into song at a point. It's gonna be a musical. We're actually gonna be singing the whole episode. So get your pitches on point. And
I love Rick Moranis as well.
I love Rick Moranis. Yeah.
And just everything.
Have you seen the Broadway version of?
No, so that's the funniest thing is I don't think I've ever seen a stage production of Little Shop. Really? I've seen one, and it was a community theater production of Little Shop. But other than that, I have never seen a stage production of Little Shop of Horrors.
I've seen a community theater production. I think I saw one that was like an echelon above that. Whatever, like wasn't a traveling Broadway off Broadway. It was like some weird in between where it was like not quite the. I don't know, but I think that's something I'm really excited to talk about because I think that's something interesting with the movie is just the differences between it and the Broadway play. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be a really good episode. Okay. So I'm hyped as fuck for it. So
all right,
yeah. If you guys are hyped as fuck too, then watch.
And even if you're not, watch anyway.
Yeah, fuck you. Watch and stuff, and it's going to be great. And Caitlin will watch my video by next week so we can talk about that in the cold open. Also, perhaps next week we'll have a better camera looking stuff because I have my fixed camera arriving tomorrow. And if I don't break it for a third time, that means we can maybe have even a 2-camera setup or an HD camera, or maybe. Then again, I might be jinxing it because the last time I said this, it did not work out too well. But
good
hoping
podcast.
for the best. All right. Get out of my faces.
Goodbye, everyone. We love you so much.
I don't know about that. Okay, I feel about you the same way I feel about Mr. Darcy. So
that he's like indifferent. Leaning towards liking.
I don't know about that. Get the fuck out. Bye.